Lean gains are absolutely possible. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And this is something to where, yes, my opinion has changed, right? My opinion has changed. And a lot of people have got on me about it. They're like, but you used to do lots of bulking. You got up to a higher body fat. You built most of your size through bulking. How can you say that's the case? And it's because we have to follow evidence, okay? And we have to follow evidence. We can't always say because I did something a certain way that it is the only way, that it's optimal, that it's ideal, and everyone should do it. Okay, that's not how the world works. That's not how it works if we're intellectually honest. That's not how it works if we want to put out the best information possible without being dogmatic. And the reason my position changed on this is because I looked at both observing my own clients, talking to other coaches and dealing with their clients, looking at what people do in the real world, and then looking at the totality of the current modern scientific research. Okay? When you set aside everyone else's traditions and ideas, and you set all that aside and you simply look at the real world evidence and the evidence combined in the lab, there is no actual proof that gaining body fat or bulking in any sort of quick manner, or even needing any significant calorie surplus, is required to maximize muscle growth. There is no evidence for it. Okay? And it doesn't matter what someone else's traditions were. So let me put something this way. If a person told you that, I went over to a door and I hopped around on my left foot in a circle 3 times and said, ziggy, zaggy, oi, 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 before I opened the door opened. Okay, and then I talked to some other guys who did it, and it turns out I know 537 other guys who we all tried it. We walked over to the door, we hopped around on our left foot in a circle 3 times and said, ziggy, zaggy, oi, 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 before we reached for the door handle and opened it, and it worked. And then we passed that on, and everyone's doing it now, and it's working really, really well. They're opening the door. And before long, everyone in the whole door opening world is doing this, and everyone says, aha, see, it works. That's not proof that it works. Just because you did it and you happened to open the door afterwards. See where I'm going with this? It's irrelevant because other people walked over to the door and didn't do that. Some people might have hopped around on their right foot and circled the other direction. What if they opened the door? What if some people didn't do any of that and they just walked over and opened the door? Do you see how that works? With the number of people who happened to chose the other and it became a tradition, well, everyone says you have to hop on the left foot first. Okay, that's not proof. So then we have a bunch of studies. So then what happens, you have a bunch of other door opening experts who go, no, man, I advise people to just walk over and turn the handle and pull the door, and it opened right up. And other people, well, yeah, but everyone says you have to do this. So then we do a bunch of studies, and they determine, scientists, and look at it and say, well, we measured it, and it turns out that the people who walk over and just open the door, apparently the door opens just as effectively without all the complications. The other thing, the door opened right up. We studied it. We measured it in 537 people. And we found that every time compared to the control group, the door opened just as well if they didn't do any of that and they just opened the door. Then in the whole door opening world, you would have people who say, all you people just trust in the science. You're just trusting the science. I bet you're triple vaxxed with 7 boosters, you sheep. Oh, then trust in the science. Like, this is how people would respond. Be like, no, really, like there's no actual evidence that you have to do the other thing. You can just open the door. Like, people figured this out already before the scientists studied it, and then the scientists measured it and said, yeah, it seems to be the case. People would stand around and argue about it, I swear. This is what it's like. The reality, plenty of people have found we can lean bulk. I used to be resistant. Let me be clear. I used to be one of the voices saying, no, I don't think we can do that. Mm-mm. Everyone's always done it this other way. We have hypothetical explanations as to why all these anabolic hormones and other stuff. Like, I used to be that person, and I'm telling you, no, I didn't get it right. No, I was wrong. The real world and the scientific evidence is both showing, yeah, it's not necessary. Not saying it will stop you. Let me be clear. It won't stop you from gaining muscle, just like the ziggy zaggy, oi won't stop the door from opening. It's creating some time wasting and complexity that you don't need. That's it. It turns out you can make lean gains. It turns out people can recomposition at maintenance. It's just not as fast. The recomposition at maintenance, unless you're at a higher body fat, isn't as fast as the very, very slow bulk. But the slow bulks that were found to cause maximal muscle growth are ridiculously small. We're talking like 50 calories a day. Not 10%. Like 10% actually causes no extra muscle growth over that, and it's just more fat gain. That's it. So there isn't any actual evidence outside of maybe some pragmatic and practical situations where a calorie surplus is even required at all for significant muscle growth. It's just not required. You can literally sit at maintenance calories. Like, let's say right now you're 180 pounds at whatever, 20% body fat. You could literally stay at 180 pounds for the next 3-4 years. Barely fluctuate 1 or 2 pounds, your day-to-day fluctuations, and you can recomposition all the way down to a lower body fat month after month, year after year. And there's no actual evidence that you have to ever have a calorie surplus to gain pretty much maximal muscle growth in that situation. There's just no evidence for it. If we go off what we see in the lab, it's not needed. The only case where it's needed is when you're too lean to recomp anymore. Then you need to do a bulk and a surplus because you're 7% body fat, 8%. That's where we start running into these issues. Really ripped people. Okay? That's it. Or anyone who's at a healthy body fat and they can afford to lose any still, in terms of their goals, they can literally just recomposition. They can literally recomposition for extended periods of time, arguably indefinitely. That's what the data is showing, if we were to extrapolate it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.